even know where to start, really.
We didn't do anything about getting it to rev, did we? So we have to do a whole shebang on that.
Yeah, we got like 2 days worth of stuff to up to speed on.
Well, we ended up adding a couple more wires over here. This one's for like the brake booster vacuum sensor. Added some brake calipers and ended up adding the whole rear hatch harness. So we have the motor, the latch, and some lights, and a couple crash sensors. Then we added the master cylinder brake booster over here to help with the brake pedal position switch. Right here, we found out when we were just actuating it by hand, we actually had it in the wrong position. So this orientates it correctly. And once we added all that stuff, we got it to rev, right?
Yeah, we got it to fully rev. We found out actually the brake pedal position sensor is integrated into a lot more than we expected. After doing some diagnosis, like he said, we found out it was in the wrong position, got it orientated right, and actually it allowed us to rev the engine fully. Wasn't in a limp mode or anything. Got rid of a lot of our codes with the calipers and
adding the calipers let us turn on the parking brake, and that was, I think, another thing. It didn't see that the parking brake was there, so it was just something else putting it into a little limp mode.
So we actually got quite a bit of the codes knocked out of the modules. We got the motor to rev, so we decided to try putting a load on the engine dyno, and it immediately went back into a limp mode. We threw 2 new codes in the transmission which weren't coming up before, which was the input speed and the output speed. So we've been trying to figure out a way to manipulate those signals, and we ended up taking the transmission out of here. We tore it all down and pulled the input and output gears, or the input speed sensor gear and the output speed sensor gear out, and we're trying to come up with a contraption to spin them and basically manipulate the signal and see if it just needs some kind of signal, or how specific we're going to have to get with it to get it to read correctly and allow it to rev. So that's what we've been kind of working on out there. So we tore the transmission apart, got all the clutches and gears and everything over here. Engineering actually has our gears that we're trying to manipulate right now. One of them, he's making some hubs. Our idea that we're trying to go off of is using a fan motor and putting the gear on there and using that to spin the gear, and then the sensor read off of that. So engineering's working on some hubs that we're going to attach to the gears to get them to attach to the fans. They're currently being cut over here on our water jet. So once those are done, we'll get them out, try to get them attached to the gears, get them attached to the motors, and then make a bracket system to hold it, and then get the sensor in there held at the right position to actually get a signal off of it. And then we'll hook everything back up and see if we can get our signal, or actually get a signal on the trans, and hopefully get the engine to rev again.
You can see here, this is actually the transmission control module. It's kind of sandwiched inside the transmission between this plate here and the valve body. So instead of having that mounted up underneath where we had it on that little cart, we'll actually just be able to connect right there, and then extend some wires from this with the sensors.
Yeah, these are our speed sensors here. This is the input speed sensor, and this is the output. These just read off of a gear, kind of similar to this here. Your sensor comes in and it's going to read, and as it spins, it picks up a magnetic signal off of the teeth, and that's how it gets its speed.
These are all just little individual clutch packs. So this transmission was a 9-speed. So shifting between like these or the planetaries gives it those different speeds. But each of these have a little like clutch material on them, and it just grips on these steel plates. They're usually actuated by like line pressure or something in like these little packs here where they're all together. It'll put pressure on it, and it'll make that one gear hold until it's ready to shift again. You can see like right there, that's where it'll put transmission fluid in to compress different clutch packs together. And they'll usually engage on like gears similar to this. So this will be free spinning until these clutches lock up together. Well, we were in the process of trying to weld these transmission gears up, but it kept throwing sparks. It was getting pretty nasty. It was like bubbling some oil and stuff out of there. We tried milling it on the lathe to try and get like a fresh surface, but it's like a super hard heat treated gear. So then we thought about trying to heat it up and bake that oil out of there. You can see once the gear heats up, it'll actually start kind of bubbling up and coming out of the metal itself.
So we're getting ready to weld this little hub here that we had engineering make. We're sticking it in here. Nice little fit, and we'll weld this together. That way we can mount this to our fan motors and hopefully get our input signals or speed signals that way. I've already kind of gone and welded this one up. So that one's for the input speed, and then this one will be for the output speed. So just gonna wipe this down with a little bit of acetone real quick, clean off any oils that are on it.